My name is Reza Aslan. I am the author of Zealot, The Life and Times of Jesus of Nazareth. The book is about the historical Jesus and the world in which he lived. First century Palestine, a world awash in apocalyptic expectation, a world in which the Jews were moving slowly towards a revolution that would ultimately kick Rome out of the Holy Land and would end up with the Romans coming back and destroying Jerusalem and the Temple of God. When I went to college, I went to a Jesuit Catholic university and I started studying the New Testament from an academic environment. I noticed a great distance between the Jesus of history and the Christ that I had been taught about in church. And in a way, I became far more interested in this historical man, this man who lived 2,000 years ago, who defied the greatest empire the world had ever known. Unfortunately, outside of the Bible, outside of the New Testament, we know very little about this man named Jesus. Even if you believe that Jesus is God made flesh, you still believe that he was also a man. And as a man, he lived in a specific time and place. And that he was a product of the world in which he lived, that context actually matters, that his words have to be seen as a response to the social ills of his time, that his actions have to be seen as a confrontation with the political and religious powers that he faced. Jesus was a man whose entire life and death was predicated on the poor, the meek, the powerless, the dispossessed, the marginalized, the outcasts. He quite literally sacrificed his life fighting on behalf of these people against this rapacious Roman Empire and this corrupt priestly aristocracy. If you truly want to know Jesus, whether you're a Christian or an atheist, if you want to know who this person was, you should probably get to know the world that he lived in, because that world shaped him as a person. I think probably the most surprising thing about not just Jesus, but the world in which he lived, is how many other messiahs there were, how many other people were walking around healing the sick, curing people, exorcising demons, talking about the kingdom of God, gathering followers, calling themselves Messiah. What is fascinating, however, and what the book really delves into, is why it is that 2,000 years later we've forgotten all those other ones and only Jesus is still called Messiah.